wherever you see people who are industrious and competitive, it brings in some envy and anger. That's what comes with competitiveness. This is why most other parts of this country don't like the Igbos. We are competitive. So in that spirit of competition, we are also Republicans. If you go to a family, the same family, mother and father, and there are 7, if all of them don't speak, there will be crisis. It's unfortunate. That's genetic. That's the way God has made us. But we don't hate ourselves, because Igbos were good loyalists following Nnamdi Azikiwe. They were even more loyal following Emma Okpara. How about the loyalty they showed generally Odumegwu Ojukwu during the Civil War? So you cannot describe our people as hating ourselves. If we have reason to do something, we'll do it. That was the same reason they showed in voting for Peter Obi, because we lacked leadership that should have strategized. Igbos have a saying, when you have enemies surrounding you, you have to wash your house. It's better said in Igbo. You know, if we had leaders who were prepared to strategize, and if you make reference to what I told you, Dr. Raymond Douglas, he said 32 years ago, that a time there is for us to look inwards. Presidency, Goodluck Jonathan was president for 6 years. He couldn't build a road from Port Harcourt to Yenagoa. I visited his table 5 times on his invitation, and I could see the tragedy that was that presidential table. The conflict, the ethnocentric manipulations. You needed extreme courage to want to take a decision in this country. For anything you do, there's an explanation. You remember when, what was his name, from Abia was chief of army staff? Kano State said, all the officers he promoted were Igbos, and they published it. Out of 15 generals, 5 were from Kano State. Up to today, they didn't make any other comment. That is what you see in this country. So what I'm saying is that Igbos have a right to aspire to any leadership, because that's what the Constitution says. But we know that the Constitution says one thing, and the rest of the country, they do what they like. So, but I don't think we should give hope. But most importantly, I want to wait, because looking at the evidences so far at the presidential tribunal, I'll be shocked if a different judgment is made. I'm looking forward that this election should be annulled and a proper election held. That is when every group should re-strategize. Re-strategize. I will not go into the details of the strategy, but from the presidential evidences and witnesses before the tribunal, it will be magic if any other decision is reached, other than there was no election, as it were. That was the whole write-up of rigging. And I say it with due humility, not running down the man who has been sworn in. I mean, he's a very smart guy. I would have been very confident if a man called Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, a professor. You know, I have the singular privilege that my wife is a professor of medicine. She's not an angel, but 90% of her pronouncement is honest, because she deals with human life. If you're dishonest in ordinary things, you won't know when you are dishonest in treating people and they die. So when I look at the problem of Nigeria, presently in this election that just passed, it's a problem we look at Mahmoud Yakubu. I don't know what kind of professor he is, for all the spoken words, with his information from Bono Okoye, and they never did anything. Instead, they conspired. With the evidences available at the various tribunals, look at what is happening in Nasarawa State. Isn't that terrible? Everywhere, you know, we're looking at the presidential court election petition at the national level. Horrible things are going on across the country at the states. People people say they use duress to force them to sign election results in 21st century Nigeria, where Yakub Makubu swore that he will give us the best election ever. I only pray God that from the evidences available, like I said a few minutes ago, I'll be surprised if these elections are now cancelled.